On the night of July 11, 2015, security cameras inside a Mexican maximum security prison captured something extraordinary. Joaquin Guzman Loera, the most wanted drug lord on earth, walked behind a partition in his cell and vanished. Behind that partition, investigators found a hole in the floor, the entrance to a mile-long tunnel, complete with a motorcycle on rails, ventilation, and lighting. It was engineered with astonishing precision. El Chapo had done it again. This was not his first escape, and the tunnels were not just an escape route. They were his signature. This is the story of how a poor boy from the mountains of Sinaloa built one of the most powerful criminal enterprises in modern history. Joaquin Archibaldo Guzman Loera was born on April 4, 1957, in the rural community of La Tuna, in Sinaloa, Mexico. The region was remote, impoverished, and had long been associated with opium poppy cultivation. Growing up in extreme poverty, young Joaquin reportedly had little access to formal education. According to various accounts, he began working in the drug trade as a teenager, drawn in by the only real economy the Sierra Madre offered. His nickname, El Chapo, meaning shorty, belied his ambition. Standing roughly 5'6", Guzman was reportedly quiet, strategic, and calculating. Those who encountered him described a man who listened far more than he spoke. By his 20s, Guzman had reportedly caught the attention of Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo, known as El Padrino, the godfather of Mexican drug trafficking. Guzman allegedly became a logistics coordinator, overseeing smuggling routes into the United States. When Felix Gallardo's organization fractured in the late 1980s, Guzman seized his opportunity. He took control of what would become the Sinaloacartel, building it into a sprawling multinational operation with global reach. What set Guzman apart was not brute force. It was infrastructure. He invested in logistics, engineering, and corruption. He treated the drug trade like a Fortune 500 company, and that corporate approach would define his reign for decades. At its peak, the Sinaloa cartel was estimated to control a significant portion of the illegal drug trade flowing into the United States. Federal prosecutors would later allege that Guzman's organization trafficked thousands of tons of narcotics over nearly 3 decades. The tunnels became Guzman's greatest innovation. According to U.S. and Mexican authorities, the cartel constructed an elaborate network of cross-border tunnels beneath the U.S.-Mexico border, some stretching over half a mile, equipped with rail systems and electricity. But tunnels were only part of the operation. Investigators discovered the cartel allegedly used submarines, aircraft, freight trains, and commercial shipping containers. The logistics network rivaled legitimate international supply chains. The profits were staggering. Forbes magazine controversially placed Guzman on its billionaires list in 2009, estimating his fortune at approximately $1 billion. The true figure, according to investigators, may have been far higher. The cartel's reach extended across the Americas, into Europe, Asia, and Australia. Guzman allegedly forged alliances with trafficking organizations on multiple continents, creating a distribution network of unprecedented scale. Corruption was the cartel's most effective weapon. Prosecutors alleged that Guzman spent hundreds of millions of dollars bribing government officials, law enforcement, and military personnel at every level of the Mexican state. The human cost was devastating. Communities across Mexico and the United States were ravaged by the narcotics trade. Countless families were shattered by addiction, by displacement, and by the relentless cycle of cartel territorial disputes. For decades, Guzman operated with apparent impunity. He was not merely evading the law. According to investigators, he was allegedly operating within a system that, at times, seemed designed to protect him. The hunt for El Chapo spanned decades and involved the DEA, FBI, CIA, U.S. Marshals, and multiple Mexican agencies. It was one of the most complex and frustrating international investigations in law enforcement history. Guzman was first captured in Guatemala in 1993 and imprisoned in Mexico's Puente Grande federal prison. But in January 2001, he reportedly escaped, allegedly hidden in a laundry cart. It was a humiliation for Mexican authorities. For 13 years, Guzman eluded capture. He reportedly moved constantly through the Sierra Madre Mountains, protected by an extensive network of informants. Investigators described a man who trusted almost no one and communicated through couriers rather than phones. The breakthrough came through technology. According to court documents, investigators developed methods to intercept encrypted communications used by Guzman's inner circle. For the first time, they could listen to the cartel's most sensitive conversations. In February 2014, a joint operation by Mexican Marines and U.S. intelligence agencies tracked Guzman to a condominium in Mazatlan, Sinaloa. He was captured without a shot being fired, found reportedly still in his pajamas. But Guzman's capture was not the end. He was sent to the Altiplano maximum security prison, considered escape-proof. Mexican authorities assured the world that this time, El Chapo would not get away. Then came July 11, 2015, that mile-long tunnel beneath his cell. It had taken approximately a year to build, right under the noses of prison authorities. The engineering was sophisticated. The audacity was breathtaking. After his second escape, the pressure on Mexican authorities was immense. International embarrassment fueled an unprecedented manhunt. This time, investigators were determined there would be no third escape. Guzman's downfall, ironically, was partly self-inflicted. According to investigators, while on the run, he made contact with actors and producers about a potential biographical film. Those communications reportedly helped authorities track his movements. On January 8, 2016, Mexican Marines raided a house in Los Mochis, Sinaloa. Guzman reportedly attempted to flee through, once again, a tunnel connected to the city's drainage system. But this time, the exits were covered. Guzman was recaptured. He had been on the run for approximately 6 months. This time, Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto announced the news personally, declaring that the mission of the Mexican state had been accomplished. Fearing another escape, the Mexican government took an extraordinary step. In January 2017, on the last day of the Obama administration, Joaquin Guzman was extradited to the United States. He landed in New York under heavy guard. He was transported to the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan, a facility from which escape was considered virtually impossible. The Tunnel King was finally in a cage he could not dig his way out of. The trial of Joaquin Guzman began in November 2018 in a heavily fortified federal courtroom in Brooklyn. Security was extraordinary. The judge, jurors, and witnesses all operated under enhanced protection protocols. The prosecution presented a sweeping case built over decades. More than 50 witnesses testified, including former cartel associates who had turned informants. Their testimony painted a detailed picture of the Sinaloa cartel's inner workings. Key cooperating witnesses described the cartel's structure, its financial operations, and the alleged bribes paid to high-ranking Mexican officials. The testimony was damning, revealing an organization that allegedly operated with systemic governmental protection. The defense argued that Guzman was being made a scapegoat, that the real leader of the Sinaloa cartel was another figure, Ismael El Mayo Zambada, who remained free. Prosecutors dismissed this theory as a distraction. On February 12, 2019, after 6 days of deliberation, the jury returned its verdict. Guilty, on all 10 counts, including engaging in a continuing criminal enterprise, international drug trafficking, and money laundering. On July 17, 2019, Joaquin Guzman was sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years, with no possibility of parole. He was also ordered to forfeit approximately $12.6 billion, the estimated proceeds of his criminal empire. Guzman was sent to ADX Florence, the federal supermax facility in Colorado, sometimes called the Alcatraz of the Rockies, He reportedly spends 23 hours a day in solitary confinement. There will be no more tunnels. Yet the Sinaloa cartel did not collapse with Guzman's imprisonment. The organization reportedly continued operating under other leadership. The arrest of Ismael El Mayo Zambada in 2024 marked another significant chapter, but the cartel's networks endure. The drug crisis that Guzman's empire fueled continues to devastate communities across the Americas. The opioid epidemic, the fentanyl crisis. These are the enduring legacies of the trafficking infrastructure he helped build. For the investigators who spent decades pursuing Guzman, the case demonstrated both the power and the limitations of law enforcement. They captured the man, but the machine he built proved far more durable than any single leader. The story of El Chapo is not a story of glamour or genius. It is a story of suffering, the suffering of millions affected by the narcotics trade, the corruption of institutions, and the immense human cost of one man's criminal ambition. Joaquin Guzman built tunnels beneath prisons, beneath borders, beneath governments. In the end, the only thing he could not dig his way out of was justice. A new case drops every day. Subscribe so you never miss one.